Today we're going over 5.4 point slope form. We're going to warm up with these three exercises. They want us to find the slope of the line containing each pair of the points. Now for this first question, we're going to use the formula m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I'll choose these to be my 2's and these to be my 1's. So my slope, which is m, is going to be 4 minus 2 over 3 minus 0. I end up with 2 over 3. If you would have done it the other way, it would have been 2 minus 4 over 0 minus 3, which gives me negative 2 over negative 3, which again simplifies to 2 over 3. For the second one, we have to rearrange the equation into slope-intercept form. Just so you guys remember, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So we're going to have to distribute the 3 to the x and to the 2. So we're going to end up with y minus 5 equals 3x plus 6. I'm going to add the 5 on both sides, and I end up with y is equal to 3x plus 11. And then for the second one, since we want to make sure we end up in the y equals mx b form, I'm going to go ahead and subtract the 20 first from both sides, which is going to give me 3x plus 4y equals negative 20. I'm going to subtract the 3x from both sides, and it's going to give me 4y equals negative 3x minus 20. Divide everything by 4, so it's going to cancel this first one. But we're going to be left with y equals negative 3 over 4x minus 5. So those are your three answers. This one, and this one. After today, guys, you should be able to graph a line and write a linear equation using point-slope form. And you should be able to write a linear equation given 2 points. Now, let's start with the point-slope form. The point-slope form of the equation of a straight line is y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. The equation is useful when we know one point, x comma y, and the slope, which is m. So if, for example, they tell you m is 2, and they tell you a pair of points of 1 and 3 are the points in that line, and they tell you to put it into point-slope form, you're going to do y minus, then we're going to put the y, 3, equals, then we're going to put the slope, 2, parentheses, x minus, and then we're going to put the x, 1. So you're always going to have the y goes into the y1 area, the slope goes into the slope, and then the 1 goes into the x1 area. Now, for this, you're not solving it. If they're just saying it to put it into that form, all you're doing is plugging those points in. So for this one, they want you to write an equation in point-slope form for the line with the given slope that contains the given point. They tell us the slope is a 6, and they give us the points 5, 1. Now, I'll do this one with you guys, and then we'll practice from there. So we're going to do y minus our y1 is going to be this point. So 1 equals, the slope is 1 over 6, x minus 5. This is your x, and this is your y. Now, I do want to mention, guys, if, for example, the point was negative 5, negative 1, and the same slope, we would write it as y minus negative 1 equals, again, the same slope, x minus negative 5. And I do want you to notice that when we do that, this minus negative 1 is going to become positive, and this minus negative 5 is going to become positive. So we actually end up with y plus 1 is equal to 1 over 6, parentheses, x plus 5. Now, why am I mentioning this? Notice how in this equation we have minus 1 and minus 5, but the points are positive. And then this, for the other equation, we have plus, and the numbers are negative. They're always going to be the opposite sign. If a number is negative in the actual xy parentheses, in the actual coordinate points, If they're positive, then this is going to be negative. If they're negative, then this is going to become positive. I wanted to show you why it becomes positive by plugging in minus -1, which you can by all means do. But when you're writing the points from the equation, you have to know that if it's a positive, it is going to be a negative coordinate point. They're asking you to write an equation in point-slope form for the line with the given slope that contains the given point. Slope is 1 and the points are -1, -4. So I mentioned in the last slide, remember if it's a negative number, it's going to flip it over, but I'm going to write in the whole equation with everything. So y minus -4 equals 1, parentheses x minus -1. If you choose to just go right ahead and do y plus 4 equals 1, x plus 1, that is completely okay. I'm just doing all the steps to make sure you have them, because this minus negative is going to become a positive and this minus negative is going to become a positive. So our final answer is going to be x plus 4 equals 1x plus 1. They want you to write an equation in point-slope form for the line with the given slope that contains the given points, slope of 2 and the points 0.5, 1. So in this with these points and this slope, we would write y minus 1 equals 2, parentheses, x minus 0.5. That would be it. Since the points are both positive, we end up with a negative in the sense that this would be a minus and that would be a minus. But the answer is y minus 1 equals 2, parentheses, x minus 0.5. So in the last lesson, which was 5.3, we graphed a line given its equation in slope-intercept form, and we were also able to graph a line when given its equation in point-slope form. So start by using the equation to identify the point of a line, then use the slope of the line to identify a second point. So for example, if we have y minus 1 equals 3, x minus 2, if we wanted to graph this, we first have to find a pair of points. So the first step would be the point, or the point in this case. I don't know why I put it in plural. It would be the x and the y, so -2 becomes +2 and -1 becomes +1. And then the second thing would be to use the slope to plot a different point. So with the slope, we will rise over run as the easiest way to go from one point to the other. So let's do this example together. They want us to graph the line described by y minus 1 equals 2, parentheses, x minus 3. So the line contains the point, which is the first step we did. We have the point right here, 3 and 1. Since we have that negative right there, we know they're going to be positives because they're always the opposite. So it's going to be 3, 1. And we have the slope of, which is m right here, so 2. The first thing you do is plot the point 3, 1. In this case, that point is right here. And then after that, I use rise over run to get to the second point. So we're going to rise 2 and run 1. So rise 2, run 1. And that's where we land with our second point. Now I'm going to plot a few points just so it makes it easier for me to be able to draw this line. With 2 points, it should be enough. So after plotting the main point, which is the one we get from point slope, we then go rise over run. In this case, we rise 2, run 1. We end up with this line. In Notability, you guys should be able to draw it a lot straighter, but that's how the graph should look. All right, so they're asking us to graph the line described by the equation and the line containing the points that we have to find. Now, because this is a positive right there, we know that 2 is going to be actually -2. And because of this negative, we know that's going to be a +4. Again, it's always the opposite sign. Now, the slope is going to be 3 over 4. That one is just as it is. So the first step is to plot the point -2, 4. To the point right there. And then after that, we're going to rise 3. So 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to run 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to point another plot on the left to make it easier for me to draw this line right now. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So just to try and draw this as straight as I can. That's kind of how that line is supposed to look. But that's the graph. So the steps are plot the point. And then from that point, you do the slope. Okay? And lastly, we draw a line to connect the 2 points, or 3 points in this case. I just wanted to draw a little better the graph. They want us to graph this line described by the equation y plus 2 equals negative, and then parentheses x minus 2. So we're going to start by finding the point. Since it's a negative 2 for the x, it's going to be a positive 2. And then for the y, we have y plus 2, so that's going to be a negative 2. That's how we get the point 2, 2. And then the m is the slope. We only have a negative sign there, so it's going to be negative 1. So again, the first step is to plot the point 2, negative 2. So that's the point right there. And then we rise negative 1, and then we run 1. So we're going to land right there as your second point. Now, you can connect it like this, and then that would be good. On the quiz and test, just make sure you guys have the points well drawn. Even if they're a little over the dots, like I just did, to make sure you can see them with the line. If you want to do more dots, you can. You can fill in dot right here or dot right here. And that's fine. My line is a bit crooked from the points, but that is how the graph should look, give or take a few inches of human error. Now, notability again, please make the line straight with a straight line feature so you'll be able to have the most accurate line possible. So now they want us to write the equation that describes each line in slope-intercept form. And they tell us the slope is 3 and that the points are negative 1, 4 is on this line. So I'll walk with you guys for this one. The first thing you need to do when they tell you they want it in slope-intercept form, and you don't have all of the information like the y-intercept and all that stuff, we're going to put it in point slope. So we get y minus 4 equals 3, and then parentheses x plus 1. Again, it's the opposite. Since it's a negative 1, it's going to become a positive. If I would have plugged it in how I should have, which is x minus negative 1, we end up this becoming a positive, so we land back where we were originally. Now, guys, keep in mind this is the same steps for every single time you write a point slope formula into y-intercept. It's always the same steps. The first step is to distribute that slope. So we're going to get y minus 4 equals 3x plus 3. Let's write that first step to solve. I'll write it after we finish. And then that second step to solve is to move whatever number is on the y side. In this case, we got to add that 4. We add it on both sides. And we end up with y is equal to 3x plus 7. Now that is slope-intercept form. Remember, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So we're going from this, which is point slope, to y equals mx plus b by distributing and either adding or subtracting the number next to the y. Now again, the steps are always going to be the same for solving. Or for rearranging, I'm going to put solving / rearranging. I'm just going to keep it as rearranging. The first step for that is to distribute the slope. And then the second is to either add or subtract the number that's with the y. So again, we're gonna want to make it into slope-intercept form from point-slope. So the first thing we're gonna do is plug in the points. As y minus 1 equals a third x plus 3. Again, that negative is going to become a positive, so I just went ahead and skipped that step and went straight into this one. The first step is to distribute, so we're going to get y minus 1 equals a third x plus 3 over 3. Now, 3 over 3 simplifies to 1, so I'm just going to go ahead and write x minus 1 equals 1 over 3x plus 1. Afterwards, I am going to add that 1 on both sides, and I'm left with y is equal to 1 over 3x plus 2, and that would be your answer for this problem. All right, this last one let's do together because we have one more step. They want you to solve for this equation into slope-intercept form, but the only thing we don't have is the slope. So the first thing we have to do is find the slope. Again, I'm going to choose this to be my 2 and this to be my 1. So we're going to do 1 minus negative 3 over 4 minus 2. It's going to become a positive, so we're left with 4 over 2, which simplifies to 2. Now, if you would have done it the other way, you would get the exact same answer. So I'm not going to do it right now. But what points do we choose? You guys can plug in either this point or this point. It doesn't matter. I'll do it both ways so you guys have it. Let's start with this points right now. So when we do y, and then it's going to be minus 3, so it's going to become plus 3, equals 2, parentheses, x minus 2. Now we're going to distribute first, which is going to give us x plus 3, equals 2x minus 4. I'll subtract the 3 on both sides, and it's going to leave me with y is equal to 2x minus 7. Now, if I would have chosen this point, we would get y minus 1 equals 2, parentheses, x minus 4. Again, we're going to distribute. Y minus 1 equals 2x minus 8. And then when we add this 1 to both sides, we end up with y is equal to 2x minus 7. Now, it is super important, or notice that it's the same thing on both sides. So if you plug in both, you are able to check your answer. You don't have to do both to solve for the answer. I'm just showing you both ways to show that it doesn't matter which points you choose. You will get the same thing. Now, guys, keep in mind, since you don't have to do both on the test or quiz, you can do both to check your work. If you happen not to get the same thing, you know you messed up somewhere, so you have a way of checking your work. You don't have to. It's really if you have time and you want to. But the steps to go from 2 points to the y-intercept is find the slope, plug it into point slope, and do the same step. Distribute, and then move whatever the number is next to the y to the other side. Okay, so that's it for today's notes.